Good evening. Welcome to the October 8th meeting of the Nixa City Council. Call the meeting to order.
Kelly Morris.
Here.
Matt Ogden. Sean Lucas.
Here.
Aaron Peterson.
Here.
Darlene Graham.
Here.
Zern Vess.
Here.
Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I believe Mr. Ogden will be joining us here shortly. He was stuck in traffic. So, all right. Well, first up tonight, we do have a presentation from Ms. Kristen Hazeltine from Show Me Christian County.
Thank you. Get this situated. There we go. Hello. Welcome. Good evening. Were you able to pass out? Okay, thank you. So I wanted to come up here and give just an update about what Show Me's been doing the last couple of months. We now have 51 investors in Show Me, and obviously the City of Nixa is part of our organization and part of that collective group. It is a private-public partnership, so we are bringing together the business sector throughout the region, as well as the public sector, to address issues that we're seeing in the communities, and to honestly spend most of our time on development and growing our community in a sustainable way. So our goal as an organization is to do business development, government affairs, and quality of place. And so out of those three buckets, that's always what we're kind of that test of, like, what we're doing, does it fit into one of those buckets? So we created this document that just gave a couple of highlights, and so I wanted to point out a couple of things that we really have been spending a lot of our time on. And the first one is our development side of it. We have currently 4 active projects and 8 project leads that we're working with and trying to get them to locate here, expand here, and it is a variety of sectors as well. So this is probably the hardest thing to actually talk about, though, because they're usually confidential. These are not things that we're able to come in and just share the business name with you on what's going on. So what we do is in our monthly reports with our board, we give a little bit more details on the projects and where we're at, and keep everybody in the loop on the progress of these projects. And so I'm just giving you more of a high level tonight of what we're doing. And so besides our projects, and the next thing that I wanted to communicate and make sure that everybody was aware of is that as an organization, we are actually transitioning to become a 501c3. We're doing that because we feel that the quality of place aspect of it, we could leverage more of that public-private partnership if we were a C3 organization. So we are collectively working with a group of community members right now here in Nixa, and Nixa is actually kind of our beginning point, and our model is where we're going to start. Creating smaller groups, Show Me Nixa, Show Me Ozark, Show Me Billings. And so we're really spending our time right now getting this group going and seeing where it could go for Nixa, and looking at community betterment. So we've had a lot of momentum with this idea, and we have about I would say 5 to, I'd probably say 8 members right now that are really engaged, that started just this summer. So we're seeing a lot of traction there. There's 2 other highlights I really wanted to point out right now was we got a phone call from National Geographic UK They found our website and they decided they wanted to find small town America. And so when they did a search, they found our site and they decided that they wanted to feature the life that we have here in Christian County. And so we are very excited about that. And we went to our partners and we went to the city, the chamber, many of them throughout the county to see if we could come up with a group that would be able to help fund this, because just because they want to feature you, there is always a cost to that. So we were able to work with everybody to get the funding to be able to get this publication. And so we will be featured and we will have online articles, and this will all be published in, I believe that it's February or March. And we will, of course, share that out and make sure everybody is aware of that. But because of that, it spun off a big conversation, a big discussion with our partners about tourism and why are people coming to Christian County. And so because of that, we ended up creating, and Stevie in our office, she is a website guru, and she has designed this beautiful website, and we're going to be creating socials to go along with that. And all of our partners with the cities and our chambers, we're having discussions later this week actually about launching it. So it is something that we feel is with that community betterment momentum as well that we have here in Nixa. It's kind of all combined as far as like I talk with my hands, I'm sorry. So we're really excited about putting some efforts into community betterment to highlight different assets and to create assets here in Nixa to draw people in and keep people here that are here to spend their dollars here. So this was just something that we will be launching, I would say, and then hopefully next couple of weeks that we'll really be pushing out, and we really ask councils and all of our community members to keep pushing this out, because we are going to put marketing dollars behind, I would say, guerrilla marketing to the people that are already traveling here to Branson and to Springfield to get them to come into Christian County and spend their time here. So that's just one of our features. And then I also wanted to point out, I mentioned Stevie and the work that she's doing in the tourism, but also our website. We have created out a sites and buildings page, and the traction that we have and the people that are looking at that. I think there was even people from Ireland looking on our website that we pulled just to see who is looking at our sites. So we're tracking that, and that is a new thing that we just got up and launched, and we're seeing great traction with that. And the very last thing, because I don't want to take up too much time, is we have a meeting on the first Tuesday of every month at 10 o'clock here in usually the council chambers. And we have discussions about issues that are impacting our businesses. Recently, we had a conversation about just transit. So how are our seniors moving? How are our workforce getting to their jobs? Is that need already filled with the amenities and the what we already have here, or is that something that we need to address as a collective group? We are having these discussions soon about childcare. We are also, recently we've had discussions even about attracting retail. Like, what does that look like? What do we need to be doing? So it's education, it's collaboration. We have council members from all of our municipalities that are attending. We have the private sector as well. So that is something that you guys are always invited to come and participate and engage in those discussions. I feel like there's a great value in just hearing about what other people are doing throughout the county. And then also we bring in people that might be doing it really well in another community throughout the state. So that's just one other thing that we are doing that we wanted to bring attention to invite you guys to come and participate. And I really wanted to keep this brief because usually my board meetings, I'm giving a, 15 to 20-minute update. But I always want to be open for discussion and take questions. Even if it's not right now, I can always visit with you at another time. So our door is always open.
Any questions? Thank you very much for the update.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. Next up will be our visitors section. Do we have anybody sign up?
Nicholas Gertis.
Person of the year.
Thank you. Thank you, my favorite council. I come to you today not as a citizen, but as a representative, our commander of American Legion Post 434. I think it's always a good thing to update the city on things that we're doing in the American Legion. I think we should be working kind of hand in hand with each other. First thing I wanted to speak about was I have to admit, I have to turn myself in. I destroyed city property yesterday and today. Hopefully, I normally ask for forgiveness instead of permission when I do things. That's just how I've always been. If you want the police chief to arrest me, you're more than welcome. But I have been in contact with Matt from the Parks and Rec. We have a veterans garden here in Nixa, Woodfield, Gardens of Woodfield, back behind Brown Derby. There is a plaque back there, a veterans garden plaque, and it's kind of went to shambles, and some people brought it to my attention, and I wanted it fixed, so I went and fixed it at no cost to the city. It only cost me $36, and I got some granite donated by Unique Tile, and Nixa Monument did all the sandblasting for the lettering, and then I painted it with some monument paint, and dug some bigger holes, poured some concrete, and set it, and so hopefully tomorrow it should be ready. I do have pictures if you want to see before and after. I just think this is a really good public relation thing for our American Legion and with the city. So I've been talking with Matt. We have some plans to really update that section of the garden here later this fall. So hopefully there'll be more to come with that. Second thing, I know it might have been brought up at maybe the last council meeting. We are doing a Toiletries for Veterans drive-through event this weekend on the 12th from 9 to 12. We're asking for citizens of Nixa to help donate toiletries, toothbrushes, toothpaste, shampoos, conditioners, body washes, deodorant, socks, like colored shirts, stuff like that, sweatpants for our veterans at the veteran home in Mount Vernon. I did a Facebook event, put out on several Facebook sites in Nixa about collecting these items. I kind of got some questions. People are like, shouldn't the veterans home be providing these things for veterans? And I'm like, how many nursing homes provide stuff for residents? None. It's very rare. So most of these veterans there, they are living basically off Social Security. Like, they have no money. It's a waiting list to get in these facilities. And most of them aren't from this area. They can be anywhere in Missouri. It's just wherever there's an opening is how they get into these places. I know one individual, I worked for him when I was a teenager, hauling hay and straw. He lives in Fairgrove. All his family lives in Fairgrove. They're not coming down every day to see him in Mount Vernon. So if he needs something, if he runs out of body wash or something, it might be weeks before someone can get him something. So they put this as a stockpile in the back, so when these veterans do need something, it's readily available for them. They don't have to wait. If they go through all their clothes or something, they have these things. So we're just reaching out to the community, just asking for donations. So 9 to 12, we're going to have a lot of people out there. I'm even going to get some giveaways. So if you do donate, I'm just randomly might give you some gift cards or something like that as a thank you for donating to us. And then lastly, next Wednesday on the 16th is the last honor flight of the Ozarks for the year. Honor Flight of the Ozarks does 3 trips a year. Normally May, August, and October, so this is the last one for the year. We do have a veteran from our Legion that's going to be on that. He's been waiting since prior to COVID. There are actually like 600 to 800 people backlogged that they're trying to get through. So he's been waiting prior. He's an 80-year-old Navy vet, great person, and his wife just passed away last month after a couple-year battle with cancer. So this is going to be a very emotional time for him for that trip. So hopefully people from the city can go and cheer him on. I will be there. I always live stream the return on our Facebook page. So if people are watching, you can go to American Legion Post 434 on our Facebook page, and you can watch it live, or you can watch it the next day. So, but that's my updates.
What's the info?
Do you have any questions for us or for me?
I'm so sorry. What's the info on that honor flight? Like what time?
So it'll be Wednesday the 16th, and normally it's anywhere around 9 o'clock, 8:30 to 9 o'clock when they return. The weather is actually good for both here and Washington, D.C., so it should be on time, so around 9 o'clock at night. So,
The Toiletries Collection is at the American Legion Hall?
what was
The
that?
Toiletries Collection is at the American Legion Hall?
So the collection's at the American Legion Post. It's at 591 North McCroskey Street here in Nixa, next to, between the car wash and Motel 8 and across from Rotary Park.
What was the date on that again?
What was that?
This Saturday?
This Saturday, yes. Anything else?
Any other questions? No. Thank you, and thank you very much for taking care of that at the park.
thank you.
I actually met with some high school kids over the weekend and are working on a plan to create kind of a volunteer group for beautification in the city and specifically at the parks to help, pick weeds, clean things up, and do things like that. So hopefully we can prioritize some of those projects. All right.
Can I have those back? I mean, if you want to put them up on your wall in your office, you can.
I was going to ask him if the $36 was spent on the ink to print those.
Right.
He said it cost you $36. I said, how much was that for the ink to print those?
No, this cost me like $70. I didn't pay attention to hit print, instead of just doing 4x6, it printed 8x10. I was like, well, my wife will be mad at me.
It looks really good. Thank you.
Thanks.
All
Nick.
right. All right. No other visitors signed up. If you would like to speak, feel free to do so at this time. If not, I will close the visitor section. And next up is the budget draft number 2.
All right, number 2,
Presentation.
round 2. Unfortunately, Jennifer had to unexpectedly leave today, so I'm going to do my best to step in for her. So Jennifer did do a good job updating the budget dashboard based off of our conversations with council and leadership staff and the supervisors at our budget workshop. And so she was able to incorporate in everything that we discussed with council as far as the additional positions are factored in that were presented outside of, I will say, the police department. Originally, there was a request for 7 officers. Where we're at right now is we have budgeted in 2 additional officers to start with at the beginning of the year, with the understanding that as those positions fill, and if Chief and his staff is able to fill those positions and have good qualified candidates they want to consider continuing to add more, that he can come back to council and request for that as a budgetary amendment at that point. And so we'll start off budget-wise. We'll start off the year with 2, and then play it, see how that goes throughout the year. So in other words, kind of like on contingency, depending on the availability of candidates and that kind of thing. And then so it does include the other positions as well. And then the other thing that dashboard includes is based off of our discussions, we did factor in the 50th of the 50th percentile, and I'll explain that because there was some confusion on that, I think, before, of the compensation study. So if you remember, our salaries are currently about the 25th percentile, and our goal is to get to the 50th as quickly as we can afford to do so, so that we're more competitive, especially in the market, and retain our employees and also hire future employees. So what we looked at is we took a breakdown of what does it look like if we get a quarter of the way there, half of the way there, 3/4 of the way, all the way to the 50th percentile. And after discussions with council at the workshop, we did factor in that halfway point. So it's 50th of the 50th percentile. So it's halfway to that 50th percentile. And so those are the numbers that are reflected in this dashboard. So along with that, the way that is all budgeted in is that January 1st, we have budgeted a 2.5% COLA based on the current COLA. And so that would take effect January 1st. Then we also move all the employees that are not where they need to be at that 50th of the 50th or halfway to the 50th. We budget in to occur January 1st as well. And then what we've budgeted is on the anniversary date of the employee, looking at the merit raise, which will be moving that employee along through the pay grade at 4% through the pay grade a year. So that's all factored in to what you see here tonight. And I can tell you that the other thing that she added is the total revenues are much closer than where we were last time that we spoke. We still hadn't factored in interest and a lot of those things. So she was able to get those numbers together. So the revenues you see on that dashboard are much closer to where they were originally. There's a few things that we're still working on as well. We are working on what does it look like to start addressing some of the other positions that may not be and may be hard to fill even at that 50th percentile. So we're looking at that and trying to break that down to try to address those. From the discussions, those included like water, wastewater, street department, some of those positions. So we've been having internal discussions, and Jennifer's plugging in different numbers to see what that looks like and how to address those as well. And then let's see, I'm trying to remember what else we talked about today. I think that's probably going to be the majority of the differences you see. Oh, I'll also mention, you'll notice that the reserves in general fund are much higher. The ending reserves are much higher than they were last time we met. That's because we did remove the CIP for the additional gym at the parks. Matt did some research based off of council's direction. And Matt, I don't know if you want to briefly talk about that real quick.
Sure. Our original CIP was for $7 million. Building a facility, double gym that was a same general look, so cinder block, metal, as our current community center is. The direction from council through our meeting last week was to, hey, look, all metal. If everything was just metal, what would that look like? And that did drop our price by about $1 million, so it's still down to about $6 million. Again, a double gym. There might be some shavable space in there depending on design and getting that design work so we can get a true number, but just going off a cost estimate per square foot and the infill that would need for that facility, we're at that $6 million mark.
So I did go ahead and remove that because we just can't afford that at this point until we figure out how to make that affordable. We just removed it from this next year's budget, so we have a better picture of what our true budget is for for next year. If Summer, if you could scroll all the way to the right there for me real quick. Thank you. There you go. So you'll see there on that far right column that'll give a better estimated ending balance of those different funds. Apologize, you don't have printouts. Last minute, so I would have.
I just emailed it to all of them.
Very good. Thank you, sir. So that'll give you a better idea of the ending balances that we were looking at. So the only thing I want to mention that's not in there yet is we are also looking at addressing some of the employees that are on standby and call out. We're addressing those standby pays and call out pays. So that is not factored in there yet, but that will be factored in as we move through this budget process. Questions? Let's say general overview, since Jennifer is not here.
Yeah. So I will address a couple things. So we met for a while today discussing this. And then, a lot of those positions that Jimmy was referring to really fall into into the Public Works Department, especially in positions that we've been having issues filling or keeping. That's one thing that's really a huge concern. I think I stated that at the last meeting. And then the other thing that I wanted to address is on the police department positions. And Chief, you've heard me say this, that I am not a huge fan of budget amendments. However, this was a decision that, we had talked about this in length over the past week. That's something that when it comes to hiring new positions, especially if it's something that, well, we've agreed to and we've promised the public, by all means, if you come in and say, yep, we've hired the people that we've needed, but there's someone that just applied and we need to hire them, that's a budget amendment I'll be fine with, and I can stand behind that. And then the other thing is, so moving to the, we created a new name for it today because it got too difficult to continually say 50th of the 50th percentile. Obviously the ultimate goal is to next step would be to get to the 50th percentile. I always plan for, disasters and such. So if something was to happen to me tomorrow, I want to go ahead and get this on record. The plan, and I believe the council should stick to this regardless, is doing the 50th of the 50th for the 2025 budget, and then go ahead and commit to taking it up to the 50th percentile on the 2026 budget. So that gives us, we know what we're working towards, and we start the budget out next year at that point, and then we're not going through all the numbers and negotiations again on that. I think there has been at times things said in the past that didn't end up come to fruition, and I feel like going on the record and saying it and getting buy-in from the council is very important, and I think it goes a long way to show that we're going to continue to do everything we can to take care of the employees while still being able to accomplish the goals of everything else in the city that we have to budget for. As much as I would love to dump all the money into taking care of all the people that we get to work with that take care of this entire city, I told Jimmy earlier it wouldn't be very popular among the voters, and we would probably not be in office anymore if we just did that. So I do think that honestly, this is probably one of the best positions in the budget that I've seen us in a long time. One of the main goals 2 years ago, whenever we first started discussing this and doing my first budget as the mayor, I really wanted to build up the reserves. We had eaten through a lot of those on different projects, or paying off any debt that we had, and it made me very, very nervous last year, looking at where our reserves were at and where they were going. And I think that kind of tightening things up a little bit and getting us to where this budget looks right now is amazing. So, if Jennifer could find a little bit more money, that wouldn't upset me one bit. But I know that Jimmy has the magic money tree somewhere,
I
but
think
we have
she
yet to
said the
find
money
it.
trees died, so.
Yeah. Had to stop watering it because of
Yeah, I
the
think
water
so.
issue.
Yeah, and I just want to point out too, just for clarification too, and if you look at that Indian Reserve balance, although it looks a little larger than it has in the past, that's because it is a little better budget this year, I think, because we did like the mayor said, we cut back a little bit last year, especially on CIPs, to increase those reserves, to give us a little more cushion. So I think that's a smart move, and I think it was the right move to do. But then I'll also point out that it may look like we've went above and beyond that because the ending cash balance is fairly higher than what we're accustomed to in the past. But I just want to point out that a big portion of that, over $3 million of that, is actually ARPA funds. So that's a one-time, we have to expend one time, so we can't count that as future revenues. And we are in a timeline to get that spent. So we're much healthier than we were last, as far as the cash reserves this year. So I'm very pleased with that. But also just wanted to point out that much healthier, but it may look even healthier than what we are. So.
And I know I've said it before, but I really appreciate everybody who was involved in the budget and getting it to where it's at. I know that it's never a fun time, and it's never a popular time either, so. But did anyone have any other questions? And so, Darlene, you're one who's been on here a little bit. The big number that him and I talked about it earlier, but the number that we always tried to get to, was below 100%. We're at 40-something percent. So, yeah, I've never heard that number before.
Yeah, we've been hovering in the 90s.
Yeah.
So,
It was a push to get it down to 97, I believe, back
Yeah.
in 2021, so. So any other questions? This is your time to just completely grill Mr. Lyles since Jennifer's not here. Okay, no takers. Thank you very much. And if you have any other questions anytime, don't hesitate, reach out to me or Mr. Lyles or Jennifer. Okay, moving on. First reading, Council Bill 2024-32.
First reading, Council Bill number 2024-32, an ordinance of the Council of the City of Nixa establishing Chapter 13 of the Nixa City Code and repealing Section 14-30 of the Nixa City Code for the purpose of modifying and consolidating city code and ordinance provisions related to municipal court, including provisions related to the issuance of administrative warrants. Presenting is City Attorney Nick Woodman.
Good evening, Mayor, members of council. I'm before you this evening to present on Council Bill 2024-32. The purpose of this bill is to accomplish two goals. The primary goal is to update the city's administrative warrant procedures, and the second goal is to consolidate some existing ordinances related to the operation of the municipal court. Really, the origins of this bill came about to address the warrant requirement. For some time, staff has been talking about expanding the city's administrative warrant authority. Right now, we just have a city code section in Chapter 14, which is our nuisance code, that authorizes the issuance of administrative search warrants. And just as a reminder, administrative warrants are a requirement under the Fourth Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. The warrant requirement is a judicial process where if we have a certain level of belief that we think there's a code violation occurring, we can apply to the municipal judge and they can issue a warrant to authorize us to enter property and investigate that property for code violations. Currently, the code only authorizes that for nuisance violations. We have all kinds of other codes that are administrative in nature. The zoning ordinance, building codes, the dangerous building code, and we don't really have a mechanism to seek that judicial approval to investigate at this time. This ordinance would do that. It would establish a new chapter in the code that would apply to any ordinance that the city's adopted and authorize the municipal judge to issue those administrative warrants. While we were working on that, we decided it would make the most sense to, from a drafting standpoint, to house that in its own chapter of the city code, Chapter 13, that's a new chapter. And then while we were doing that, kind of like with surgery, we were in there messing with the code, so we thought we have these other municipal court ordinances that have been adopted. We might as well place those in this new chapter as well. So those two ordinances are the court consolidation ordinance, where we consolidated the municipal court with the circuit court, and the city's court cost ordinance. We have to have an ordinance establishing our court costs for municipal court. So those two ordinances have been, if this bill is approved, those two ordinances would be removed from where they're at now and placed in this new Chapter 13. With that, staff recommends approval, and I'm happy to answer any questions that the council may have on this item.
So with the municipal court ordinance, does that take it to, because I know one of the talks when we consolidated that and moved it to Christian County was that to leave it in the opportunity to bring it back if we ever decided to do that. Does this
Yeah, we
abolish
just repeal that code provision. So what we did when we consolidated the court is council passed an ordinance, but we didn't codify that. So it's just kind of out there floating in the clerk's records, the permanent records. So if we wanted to locate that, we'd have to go find the actual ordinance document. what we're doing here with that particular ordinance is just housing it in the code now, so that if we ever do decide to return it to the municipal side, we could just repeal that code language and bring it back over here. Does that answer your question?
Absolutely, thank you.
Any other questions? Nope.
But
Go
I don't
ahead.
really have a question, just kind of for clarification. I think we've talked about it, but want to make sure that it's reading and all that points to me. There's some good forethought in this, and I appreciate you guys part looking at it, but there's also a lot of weight given back to the citizens to know that they're protected by a third
Yeah.
party, right?
Yeah, one thing to keep in mind on this is, it's not really, for lack of a better term, like a power grab or anything. We're not going to have code compliance people out running around. We have to go to the judge, and the judge, with the way we model these provisions on the warrant requirements, are to model them after current state of Missouri requirements on criminal warrants. So the judge will be familiar with that, and the same kinds of protections that exist in current Fourth Amendment jurisprudence are going to apply to these administrative warrants. So we're not going to be out willy-nilly, kicking in people's doors to find code violations. There's going to be a judicial process that we have to go through, and we have to meet certain requirements in front of the municipal judge in order to get a warrant issued, just like every other criminal or code investigation.
Thank you, Mr. Woodman.
Thank you.
If there are no other questions, I will open up the public hearing. If you would like to speak on this, do so at this time. And I will close the public hearing. Any further discussion from council? Moving on to second reading, Council Bill 2024-31.
Second reading Council Bill number 2024-31, an ordinance of the Council of the City of Nixa amending Chapter 2, Article 4, Section 2-151 of the Nixa City Code for the purpose of deleting the set fee for LED streetlights, presenting as Assistant Public Works Director Travis Cossey.
Thank you, Becca. Mayor and Council, as we talked about and discussed at our September 24th meeting, this is a bit of a housekeeping item regarding an ordinance that was adopted in October of last year. Last year, staff made a new ordinance to develop kind of an umbrella location for all of our established fees throughout the whole organization. One of those sections, of course, is our Public Works section. At that time, we established a new miscellaneous fee to establish a replacement cost for all materials that we provide and bill to our builders and developers. This was primarily done to provide the cost savings and pass those along to our builders and developers that are benefited by our purchase at bulk rates. In other words, we buy a lot of materials, we buy bulk, so we're able to capture a lot of savings from that. That provides the ability for us to pass those savings on to our builders and developers and establish a way for the city to neither make money nor lose money whenever we bill our material costs for our various construction items. While Nick did a fantastic job of creating this clearinghouse and pulling all those fees together, I did a poor job of reviewing that document before it was brought to you, and I failed to pull out one of our many material items that were established as a set fee. In this case, our LED lights. Our intent was to have our LED lights and the fees we charge for them pushed under that miscellaneous replacement cost language along with all of our other material costs. Unfortunately, like I said, I missed it during the review of that document, and we thought it was no longer in there. We've just recently discovered that we failed to pull that out, and this amendment is asking that we pull that out so that our LED streetlights fall under the same replacement cost procedure that all of our other public works and electric materials fall under.
Any questions? Thank you, Mr.
All right.
Cossey.
Thank you.
No other questions. I will open up the public hearing. If you would like to speak on this matter, do so at this time. None. I will close the public hearing. Any other discussion from council? Fair enough. I will accept the motion.
Second.
First by Ms. Graham, second by Mrs. Morris. Roll call, please.
Sean Lucas,
Yes.
Aaron Peterson,
Yes.
Darlene Graham,
Yes.
Kelly Morris,
Yes.
Matt Ogden,
Yes.
Zern Vess.
Yes.
Motion carries. All right. A lot on the agenda tonight. Anything else from staff?
In case you missed Summer's post, we do have the other crews headed to Florida to help with Hurricane Milton. They will arrive tomorrow sometime in Orlando. Hopefully, they won't get flooded too bad. But anyway, there's so many crews that are tied up still in the Carolinas and Tennessee. It's just 2 hurricanes in a row has really exhausted the mutual aid. And so they've called for more. They're still, as of this afternoon, I was on a meeting this afternoon, and they're still looking for 3 more crews to head down. So they're still scrambling to get more people. But we do have another crew headed. We have another crew down there, 4 guys. And so just wanted to let you know that.
Thank you, Mr. Colvin. And good luck to them.
Okay, and then just a couple of quick announcements. Offices will be closed on the 14th for holiday, so they will be closed. And then Matt, Spectacular, 25th. I know we have another council meeting before then, but I thought I'd get that date out there.
We do, yeah. October 25th is our Halloween Spectacular event, 5:30 to 8:30 at Macaulay Park. It is an outdoor event. So come enjoy. If you guys want a booth we can get a city council booth together, whatever you guys want.
Oh, I think you guys should. That'd be good for them.
The mayor will dress up if you guys have a booth.
I've already got my Halloween costume, but
Matt and Katie get to pick the costume.
yeah, I was.
I
So
motion
we have like a
to.
theme.
I don't want
It
to
didn't
wear.
go so well for me.
I
last
don't
year.
want to wear mine. So
And then also, then I'll just mention the State of the Community Dinner on the 29th. So if you're planning on going to that, just want a reminder.
anything else from council?
I will also like to say that on the 26th is the second DEA drug take-back event of the year. We will be at Walgreens this time from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Officer Forgy, myself will be over there collecting any unused prescription or over-the-counter drugs. There will be a post that you can look and see at the acceptable items and what we can't take.
I also just wanted to real quick thank Mr. Colvin for taking the time to go shape the minds of young children about recycling and such. Saw that post, and I guess we were both pretty busy. I got to meet with the second graders at Matthews, and that was always a blast. They asked some pretty interesting questions. I can understand why they made a TV show out of it. So, all right. If nothing else, Mr. Peterson?
I move that City Council go into closed session under Section 610-021-1 and 2 of RSMO. I also move that this closed session, records related thereto, and any votes taken by the council during this session shall be closed under Section 610-021 of RSMO, and that the City Council shall stand adjourned after the closed session.
Second.
First by Mr. Peterson, a second by Mr. Lucas. Roll call, please.
Sean Lucas,
Yes.
Darlene Graham,
Yes.
Zern Vess,
Yes.
Matt Ogden,
Yes.
Kelly Morris,
Yes.
Aaron Peterson.
Yes.
Thank you.